First Corinthians chapter 10, verse 26, it states that the earth is all of God's, and everything else that comes along with it belongs to Him. So when we look at the material things on the earth, when we look at people's skill set, the things that they create, when we look at the trees and everything that is on earth, everything that has a thought, God is the inventor. God is the creator of all these earthly things, giving us the mind of being able to craft the things that we craft. But not all worldly things are things that God wants us to tend to. We have to be very careful on where we allow our hearts to flow, because our hearts in Scripture says that is wicked before all else. So we have to be spiritually minded on when we walk earth. Yes, God has allowed things to correspond, but that doesn't mean that it's always the right things to go after, because God allows us to have free will. That is out of His love for us. It would be controlling for Him to try to program us to do things that are holy just because they're holy. He gave us free will to choose what we want. And so, as Adam and Eve, God allowed them to have the fruits of the land, to be with the beast, to be fruitful and multiply. But there's one thing that God said stay away from. It's the fruit of knowledge, good and evil. Why would God intend for all of us to have the things we have and tell us to avoid some of the things that are placed? Because our minds are only so limited to what we are able to see until we experience it. That is why God calls us to seek the kingdom of heaven, and all things that come with it shall be given to you. Isn't life more valuable than gold and silver? It says in Scripture. So we have to always remind ourselves when we see things that our heart wants, we always have to make sure it's benefiting the kingdom of heaven. Because our hearts can lead us astray if we allow it to consume our mind, allow our flesh to take over. A lot of people think that weed is a okay substance because it's a plant and God created it. But opioids is a plant too. So we have to look at what Scripture says, and it says to be sober-minded. Now, there's some people who use it for medicinal purposes, as far as their health, and that's okay, because Jesus knows your heart. and how you're using it. And so where this leads to is we have to not allow our flesh to abuse the things that God has allowed on this earth. For Jesus has given us the free will. We must not abuse the way God allows us to have money. We must be very careful on not allowing evil spirits to infiltrate and to lead us towards confusion of arrogance. Sometimes God doesn't allow us to have because we're not ready yet spiritually. Sometimes He has to grow us, to mature us spiritually. So then once we do have the things that we want and we strive for, and we work hard for, we are spiritually aware to not abuse those things, to give the praise and glory to Jesus Christ. For He is the one who created all things of the earth. And He has allowed us to use these things to benefit His kingdom. A great example is Peter walking on water to travel to Jesus. And when he started to walk on the water, Jesus said to come to me. But Peter started to lose faith because he's seen how big the ocean waves were. And he started to fall. So the same way with us, we must not allow the worldly things to overwhelm us, to overtake us, to lead us astray from the purpose and the things that Jesus Christ allows us to have. We must have faith in Jesus that things will work out. Because if we doubt, it allows Satan to fill your thoughts with doubt. Doubt on who Jesus is. And that is when we start to live within our own selves and start abusing the things of which God has given us. So when Jesus Christ lifted Peter, allowing him to know that he was never going to leave him, but to have faith in what He gives to us, the gifts that He gives to us, to have faith, to believe in Him, and everything will work out for everything God has created, and everything on the earth belongs to Him.